things have not gone very well for this elderly gentleman pretending to be the president of the United States. Ted Cruz summed it up nicely in a tweet. Let's pull that up over there. The State of the Union under President Biden can be summed up in one word: crisis. Inflation crisis, border crisis, Afghanistan crisis, COVID crisis, supply chain crisis, Ukraine crisis, crime crisis. We're just going to kind of dive into each one of those issues, and let's see. We're going to present you with some numbers, and you decide whether things are going well or not. First off, we've got some data from Real Clear Politics on Biden's approval ratings, or I guess I should say disapproval rating, which is up 13.8 points since he took office. So as you can see, what you're looking at there, the red line that's constantly going up, that's disapproval. So that's up about 14 points. And the approval, which is the black line, if you're the president, you want that one to go up. That's the one that's going down. And you can see there's sort of a direct correlation between the up and the down right there, that people are just not happy with this guy. Now, why would it be that people are not happy with this Joe Biden fellow? Well, first, let's talk about the economy and inflation. We've got some data here from the U.S. inflation calculator. The annual inflation rate for the United States is 7.5% for the 12 months ended in January 2022, the highest since February 1982, and after rising 7% previously in 2021, according to U.S. Labor Department data published on February 10th. So we all know that the dollars that we've got in our wallet, or what you've got in your PayPal account or your Stripe account that you're trading and going back and forth on Zelle or whatever payment thing you use to pay people for goods and services, we just know that that money is not worth as much, and you are now getting less for it. Look at the price of beef. Go to the supermarket, carton of eggs, milk, et cetera, et cetera. We've got some info here from Powder and Bulk Solids. This is a manufacturing publication talking about what's going on with the supply chain and actually the nuts and bolts of the economy. America's manufacturing industry shed 578,000 jobs in 2020, according to federal data. A report published this year by Deloitte and the Manufacturing Institute forecasts that 2.1 million manufacturing positions could be unfilled in the U.S. by 2030. Shipping information company Freightos told Reuters this August that the price to ship one 40 container from China to the East Coast climbed more than $20,000, an increase of more than 500% from the previous year. This is real. This is real stuff. You all know it. Like, everyone knows it. I can read you the numbers, but just think in your own life when you're going to the store and you're buying food. Are you paying more money or less? Or is it the same? Pretty much worse for everybody. So, okay, so that's one thing. We know that the economy is just struggling, and you almost don't need me to explain it to you. You just know it. Well, then Cruz talked about the border stuff and immigration. So first, let's start with some video of our southern border. We don't talk about the border anymore. For some reason, when that orange man was president, we were always talking about the border, and there was going to be a wall, and there was racists, and the whole freaking thing. Here's our border in September of 21. This is Del Rio, Texas.
Beneath this border bridge in Del Rio, Texas, a group of migrants grows by the hour. The men, women, and children, mostly from Haiti. Tonight, they number nearly 15,000, tripling in size since Wednesday. All waiting in near 100-degree heat, washing clothes in the Rio Grande and sleeping outside for a chance to claim asylum.
We need the administration, Secretary Mayorkas, the vice president, and the president to call this what it is. This is a crisis.
With staff unable to keep up with processing, state lawmakers are calling on Washington for help.
Now, the numbers, believe it or not, have gotten significantly worse, and I suspect that you will believe it. We've got some data here from U.S. Customs and Border Protection. This is Southwest land border encounters over a year, okay? So in 2020, we had about 458,000 encounters. Now, this means, someone's coming across illegally, they got caught, they're interrogated, et cetera, et cetera. This isn't exactly what they do with those people at the time. But in 2020, we had 458,000 of these interactions. That's when the orange man was president. In 2021, we had 1.734 million. Now, I don't have my calculator here, but you guys can confirm this for me. That's significantly more. It's about 1.3 million more than the year before. And then, and of course, Joe Biden was president in 2021. And then just in these last few months, the last 4 months roughly, October 2021 to January 2022, beginning of this year, we've had 672,000 of these encounters. Now, how many of these people are here? How many of these people were arrested or sent back? How many of them have children that are now here? All of these, we don't really know. But we all kind of know something ain't right. Then, of course, there was Afghanistan.
Kabul airport this morning is back up and running. Evacuation flights for U.S. Embassy personnel and contractors in full swing. Flights were stopped yesterday when tens of thousands of Afghans stormed onto the runways, desperate to leave, clinging onto aircraft, trying not to be left behind as the Americans pull out. U.S. troops found themselves overwhelmed as they tried to clear the airport, firing warning shots. The Pentagon says American troops killed 2 armed Afghans, but some Afghans were able to get out. On one flight so full, it may have set a record for the number of people who can fit onto an American C-17. Afghans are running from the Taliban, now in full control, setting up checkpoints with the very weapons American taxpayers bought for the Afghan army, which collapsed instead of fighting after the U.S. pulled out of bases and left them without air support.
Now, doesn't that all feel like a lifetime ago? And it's sort of like, well, why should we care anymore? We're gone. But, you know, as we talk now about what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, it's like, what do people around the world think the United States is all about? What do we do for our allies and the people on the ground who are the translators who are helping us fight the Taliban and everything else? As they reported right there, the amount of weapons. We literally left hundreds of millions of dollars of weapons and tanks and helicopters and munitions and all of these things that are now in the hands of the people that we were supposedly fighting and the people that we betrayed on the ground. And again, I'm not even saying we were supposed to be there in the first place. And of course we had to wrap it up, but we did it horrifically, absolutely horrifically. And of course, as you remember, and we've got some info from Reuters here, I mean, this was the sort of worst of it, as if those images of Afghans falling off the plane wasn't bad enough. Marines from the 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines Regiment were on duty outside of the Kabul airport on August 26 when a suicide bomber detonated explosives, killing at least 13 U.S. service members and scores of Afghanis. You know, it's kind of interesting because we don't know their names, right? Mainstream media didn't show you their names. These 13 people who signed up to protect the United States, who then died due to a suicide bomber in a horrifically botched escape from a country that we're not totally sure why we were in the first place. After you see what happened in Afghanistan only, you know, roughly 8 months ago and the disaster there, it's like, do you think that this administration, led by this Joe Biden, who's going to give the speech tonight, do you think that these people are trustworthy or know what they're doing or anything else? I wonder what our allies think. I've got a quote here from KHN News. This is, they are talking about Tuesday, the last Tuesday of Trump's presidency. The death toll of COVID reached 400,000 people, a once unthinkable number. So that was the cumulative amount of people who had died of COVID under Donald Trump, 400,000 people as he hit the last day of his presidency. Now we've got some info here from the White House in February of 2022. Today, our nation marks another tragic milestone. 900,000 American lives have been lost to COVID-19. What this means, okay, is that 400,000 people died under that scary orange man, Donald Trump, from COVID, and 500,000 have died in the year under Joe Biden. Joe Biden ran saying that he was going to end COVID, right? Here's some video of Joe Biden back in October 2020, right before the election.
220,000 Americans dead. If you hear nothing else I say tonight, hear this. Anyone who's responsible for not taking control, in fact, not saying I take no responsibility initially, anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as President of the United States of America.
Okay, as always, he muddled what he was saying there. But in essence, at that point, there were 220,000 deaths. There have now been 500,000 under Joe Biden. So by his own words, as muddled as they may be, I'm pretty sure he's saying that he should step down.